Wow. Thank you very much. I hope you're going to like me as much when I'm finished as when I start, because those of you who know me and have heard me before know that I'm going to talk very directly to you. And I do that because I understand why people succeed and why people fail. I've spent my life, doing these kinds of things. I was a university professor for years in the field of psychology and sociology. I studied human emotions. I studied how the mind works and why people end up where they end up. I spent many years in the criminal justice system doing counseling with people whose lives were messed up. And so my life has been primarily about empowering people through what I call a wake-up call. So I'm going to talk to you about some things like cause and effect, how the mind functions, why people succeed, why people stay average, and why people fail. Would that be of value to you if we could share some ideas around that? Yes. Okay? As far as my involvement with ACN, I had a good business background. I had many years of experience when Artie and I went in to look at ACN, and I can tell you we probably had a lot more background than some of your friends who tell you it won't work. We went in and we put this company under the microscope. We were not going to get involved with a company that A, had the wrong people leading it, because in my experience, if the people at the top are not right, sooner or later, it's a problem for everybody else who's involved. You know how difficult it is in business and in life to find stand-up people who mean what they say, have the passion for what they're doing, and share the wealth with the rest of us? Sometimes opportunities come and they pass people by. And the interesting thing is that everybody's hearing the same information. Why is it then that one person will grab the ring of possibility and create great success, and the person sitting right next to him doesn't do a thing with the opportunity? You see, first thing I want to share with you and teach you is that I'm one person up here as far as you see. But I want you to know that that's an illusion. See, I'm not here alone. Every teacher who ever taught me, every mentor I ever had, every book I've ever read, every research I've ever done is here with me. And all I am is the messenger of what I've been taught. And I'm sharing it with you. But here's what I know about us as human beings. It's you individually that will take the information that I give you, and you will process that information through many limitations. You see, if you put your hand in front of your face, you will see there's space between your fingers, but you'll see that the fingers can block your vision, yes or no? These are all what I call filters of the mind. Is your experience with your parents a filter for how you see the world? Yes. How about your religion? Yes. How about your education? How about your belief about yourself? Yes. How about your position in the family if you had other siblings? Yes. How about your color and your ethnicity, your nationality? Yes. Are you getting the point? Behind these filters, you give all of what you're seeing in the present interpretation and meaning, okay, from the reaction of these filters. And in nanoseconds, you describe or interpret and then act upon what you believe to be true. Now, what follows that is that there are no similar realities. Each one of us, through the process of thinking, creates the reality we experience in life. Now, when someone really understands that, some things really begin to move in the way they're living life. But that understanding means nothing if it stays here. I'm not going to teach you anything you do not already know. I'm just going to remind you, because intuitively, we do know. We know when we're honest. We know when we're dishonest. We know when we have a work ethic. We know when we're lazy. We know all those things. But we need to know, where are they taking us? So the first rule of success is you have to give up some things. You're going to have to change some things, and I'm going to talk to you about the things that are going to need to be changed. Are you willing to listen? Yes. And if I tell you, are you willing to take it on? Yes. And are you willing to be truthful? Are you willing not to hide out? Because the information I can give you, I've lived my life finding it. Personal responsibility. That's first and foremost. Quit leaning on other people for your success. If an opportunity is in front of you, it is incumbent upon each of you, if you want it. That's why Dr. William James, the father of American psychology, was asked near the end of his life, what is the greatest contribution to humanity in your lifetime? To which he responded, listen closely, that a human being can alter the circumstances of their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Their attitudes of mind. What's the creative force? This is what most people will live and die not knowing or not believing when they hear it. Your mind is creating your reality. How you use your mind, which means what type of thought do you use to put you where you are now? You see, let me talk to you a moment about the law of cause and effect. You see, this is a law of the universe. The highest form of wisdom is understanding the law of cause and effect as it relates not only to the events of the universe, but to the events of our lives. And in our lives, thought is the cause. How you think is what you become. Take the aggregate of your thoughts, be they positive or negative, and you don't need to be a genius to look at your life as a consequence. Show me negative people, and I'll show you miserable lives. Show me positive people, and I'm going to possibly see a dreamer and someone that's motivated to improve and change. So cause and effect, let's go a little deeper. Therefore, we understand. There's three words you need to understand. First, we have to be. Be. That means we need to become. That means we need to have motion and movement in a form of growth. We need to become, then we need to do. So it's be, then it's do, and then it's have. Now here's a problem with most people. They don't understand that. They're looking to have the having without becoming and then doing what they're becoming so they can deserve and justify the having. We have got it backwards, folks, or there'd be millions and millions of people successful. Check your own thinking. Do you concentrate on becoming better, or do you just concentrate on wanting more? Can you see the incongruence here? Understand the law. Be, become, do what you've learned in becoming. 3, I'm going to get what I get, okay? Let's look at it in the laws, the spiritual laws. I have to plant a seed before I can get a harvest. In the seed is already the consequence. Without the seed, there is no harvest. Now the mind. In the thought is the creative power of circumstance. In the nature of my thinking, I'm creating my emotions. And the combination of my thoughts and my emotions make me behave in a certain way. Those two make me behave. Over time, I develop habitual ways of thinking and reacting. And out of those habitual ways, I create my life. Circumstance is the end product. Thought is the cause. Now, this is an ongoing process. Everywhere you look in the universe, for every positive, there is a negative. For every yes, there is a no. For every up, there is a down. In the universe, you see this peculiar balance all the time, but you can't see it in your own lives. You have to get to that point if you want to prosper and grow and be happy and have better relationships in your life. You need to finally get this. In fact, I will say to you that the lack of understanding of this universal law of cause and effect is the reason for most failure that you're ever going to encounter. You see, conditions are conditions. Circumstances that are out there are events that happen. The only choice you and I have, the only real freedom we have, is how are we going to think about what's happened. And there is where we have choice that most people have given up. We've become habitual in our responses to circumstances. We seldom step back and say, I have a choice whether to get angry. I have a choice whether to be bitter. I have a choice whether to be resentful. I have a choice. Why am I giving up that choice and simply reacting like I've always reacted? You see, people are not trained. They're really not trained to be successful. They're not trained to understand the power of their minds. We get educated to get jobs. And what are jobs? Jobs take our ability to create and put them in a very, very narrow field, a vertical field called our profession. And everything we begin to interpret, the people we hang with, the people we go to dinner with, they all become in that circle for the most part. So what is our thinking limited to? What are the influences limited to? They're limited to the rather peculiar and exclusive surroundings that we get. Now, do people influence you? Do you think that we might be end products of a lot of that? What if the instruction, well-intentioned as it might have been, was wrong? Have you ever thought of that? Some of you in here had great talent, but maybe your sister or your brother that preceded you had a little more. And maybe your parents, when you were trying to become you, may have said, meaning well, please, your sister's the singer. And you stopped singing. What a shame. Did you have a choice? You didn't know back then you had a choice, but you do know today. Maybe back then you were reacting to everybody that's bigger than you when you're a little kid. Everybody that's older than you is sort of God to you. Uncles and aunts, when they speak when you're little kids, you can't wait to respond favorably, yes or no. What if they're giving you garbage? We were still listening, weren't we? You see, I started out as a young boy with polio. I was in an iron lung. The doctors told my mother he's not going to live. And then when I lived, the doctors told my mother he'll never walk again. Now either I made it or I got a twin brother that's standing in place for me. You see, when I started, I didn't have anything much going for me other than what I could muster up inside. And I learned some things about motivation which I want to teach you. Every failure I know, without exception, waits to be motivated. Isn't that sick? If you're a person waiting to be pumped up to change your life, you better grab a moment of inspiration, internalize it, and get some fire in your belly, or it ain't going to happen, nothing's going to change. The only winner in the game is going to be the time on the clock. You're not going to win. Change is inevitable. Adjustment to change is inevitable. So I went on, and how many of you were laughed at when you were kids? Made fun of. Come on, let's own it. We've all had some of it, some more than others. Well, let me tell you something. How would you like to be my height, about this big around? I've compensated well. And you're going to school with braces on your legs, and kids are laughing at you, making fun of you. See, there's a choice there, isn't there? The choice is I could have decided to become what they were telling me, or I could dig somehow inside and say, I'm not letting them define me. You know what? That's a choice you better make from this day forward. Because I'm going to tell you your number one enemy. We've all had the same enemy from day one. Your number one enemy is the eyes, the words, and opinions of others about you. It's been controlling you all your life. You never discover who you are. You never discover your own unique miracle, the power you really have to shape your life. But you're going to have to change your thinking to do it. If your life isn't working, edit your thoughts. You had thoughts of unworkability. You were asking for things you didn't deserve. You were justifying things that were lies. You were making excuses that weren't true. You were blaming people that you shouldn't have been blaming. And that's our human condition. But getting away from it and getting out of it is possible. But we need to know what we're in and tell the truth about it. Two things. Two things you're going to have to give up if you want to really prosper, have a happy and successful life. Excuses and blame. So I'm going to give you a remedy. This remedy will work 100% of the time if you'll do it. Forgive anybody and everybody who ever did anything to you that was harmful to you, with no need for justification or kind response for the forgiveness. And here's why. You can't give that gift away until you forgive yourself for all of your mistakes and say, my slate is clean, I've got today, today is my life, what do I plan to do with it from this moment forward? That's the deal of life. We all have had mess-ups. And then we're going to make a decision and a choice. We're going to turn left or we're going to turn right. And in that one choice can be a new destiny. Remember what Dr. James said. A human being can alter the circumstances of their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. So the law of cause and effect don't care if I understand it. It doesn't care if you understand it. And it doesn't care if you hear it and don't follow it. It runs the game, and wisdom, to me, the highest form of wisdom is understanding how that works. In my thought, I'm creating emotion. The emotions, I create behavior. Those three become my habits. My habits over time build the life that I have called now. It is your mind and your thoughts that are creating your personal, unique reality. That's why when we started, I said, no two people can hear me precisely the same. Because you are going to filter me through those things I told you we can filter. So what if we can change the filters? Because that's the only chance we have, isn't it? Well, how do we change a filter when we feel someone else did it to us? We quit blaming and we forgive them. You know, people get married and people don't stay together. People get divorced. I got a question for you. Who ever made up the rule that because someone loves me once, they're going to love me forever? Who made up that rule? So my life and your life is about adjusting to the realities and consequences of what goes on. That is the only freedom you have. Two men sat behind prison bars. One saw mud and the other saw stars. Same condition, totally different interpretation, totally different experience of the same thing. So once you figure that out and you take personal responsibility, we have to understand this next rule that ties right in and is an integral part of cause and effect. I have to give before I can receive. Now here, be, do, then have. I have to give before I can receive. So you're in a business like this. You want to be successful? You better do a lot of giving before you can expect to do any receiving. Because in your hands is the life and dreams of other people that decided to sign up with you. How are you going to be with them? Seeing how many people they bring to the meetings while you bring none? Look at your downline report and see who's working while you stopped? That's a lack of integrity, isn't it? So you have to be, do, then have. Then the law says, I must give before I can receive. Well, what if you're not a person who gives? What if you're going through life with two catcher's mitts on, waiting for all the things you can get for the least amount of effort? Starts with your job. How many people do you think walk into the companies they work for in the morning and walk in going, whoo, I just can't wait to get here to get started to earn my pay? As opposed to, oh man, it's time to get started. 4:30 comes, we should have neck braces on if quit time is 5. Why? 4:30, here's what we do. The clock's on the wall, you go, oh man, clock isn't even moving. Got another half an hour in this place. Comes Friday, what do? We finally have a little uplift in spirit. Do you ever analyze why? We can't wait to get away from this place we can't stand. There's no dream there. There's survival and you know it. I'm not making it right or wrong. I'm just saying if you want a different life and you have a chance, turn off the TV set and grab a hold of this thing and let it give you a chance to change your life so 2 or 3 years from now, you can have choice. Well, you can't play with this thing and get it. Is that fair enough and truthful enough? You see, this is an opportunity for real people who want to do real things for their families and their friends. It is not an opportunity for a lazy person that's not going to change. It just isn't. And let me tell you something else. There's no opportunity that is like that is worth anything. See, the problem with an opportunity, analyze this. You know what the problem is? All of them, if they're real, are dressed in work clothes. You know, they got overalls on and boots, and they're going to have to go through a lot. So I'm going to help you go through what you're going to go through. But the first thing is, and this is one of the reasons why 95% of the people are good people, but they end their lives with not much money, get into their old age and they're surviving. They don't have the things they dreamt about, okay? And here's the number one reason after you get cause and effect, here it is. They don't know what they want. Does that sound strange to you? They do not sit down and set specific performance goals to get what it is they want out of life. Now think about this. Understanding now that thought is the creative power, thought will garner your power, thought will direct your action, thought will maintain and stimulate your personal motivation, but you don't know what you're after. Can you see you have nullified your power because you don't know what you want? Now, I can prove it to you. 5% of the people basically own 95% of the wealth. Have you ever asked why, honestly? Have you ever studied them? Have you ever noticed they look different? They appear different? Their aura is different? Their gaze is different? Their whole being is saying something different than yours. Now, and conversely, look at people who are struggling, look at people who aren't getting where they want to go, and use the same observation. See what their attitudes are. See what comes out of their mouth. See whether it's positive, negative, uplifting, or draining to be around them. And then you look at their life. What do you see? I'll tell you what you're seeing. You're seeing the consequence of their thoughts, their emotions, and their attitudes. That's what you're seeing. And what are you seeing in a successful person? You're seeing the opposite of what you're seeing in the people who are just struggling. And what you're going to see is all of what I'm talking about. Their attitudes are different, how they see things are different, their work ethic is different, the people who are winning have goals because they understand the dynamic of how the mind works. Without a target, it wanders. See, now that you understand the law of cause and effect, now that you understand you're going to have to do some things different, and most of what you're going to have to do different is to give up things that are in your way. A bad work ethic, bad attitudes, negative attitudes, blaming other people. You see all the things we got to go, get them out of the way? Why? We want pure, raw, unadulterated energy coming out that funnel. And when you do, I'm going to tell you, you are going to encounter what I call magic. And only those people who have done it understand what I'm going to say to you now. Once you know clearly, unequivocally, without a doubt, what it is you want, follow this. What you want is out there waiting and beckoning you forward. And here's how it's going to show up. Once you know, your perceptions narrow, your interest narrow, your skills of observation broaden because they're now focused. And what you begin to see is the book you should be reading, the tape you should be listening to, the next person you should be talking to. And the more you do it, the more you begin to understand the power of focus, the power of directing your mind towards specific goals. What will you do then? You're willing to become. You want to become more because it is a compelling magnet now that you know what you want. And it's the only thing that will draw you through the dry seasons of labor, the doubts we all have from time to time, the disappointments we encounter in any journey worthwhile. Remember, for every positive, there's a negative. For every defeat, there's a victory. For every obstacle, there's a solution. Are you getting it? And only those people who are able to see the impossibility and still go are the ones who end up being successful. Time is your one asset to create the new life. Get together with who you're with. Decide, why would I want to do this and what do I want 2 and 3 years from now? What's my vision of what's possible? Because I can tell you this company has vision. It has things it sees coming. It believes it's coming or they wouldn't be putting millions of dollars into our infrastructure to make it possible for us. But the visionary will take the future and make it alive in the present. All others will keep back and wait, and when nothing obstacles in the way, I'll begin. You won't. The ones who win are the ones who have vision to see and are willing to take the steps before the finish line so that they get to the finish line. Some of you know precisely the process. If everything were smooth and easy and perfect, we wouldn't even need to be on the planet. There'd be no need for us to be here. We have problems to solve them. We have yeses for nos. We have right for wrong. We have good, we have evil. We're never going to get away from it. The point is, what do you personally do and participate in your own life with all of this? And the freedom of choice is connected to the nature of your thoughts. So thoughts are creating my reality. If I observe successful people, I start to notice they are different. They're no more intelligent than you. Don't you buy that? A genius without a goal will go nowhere. And an average person with a goal can go anywhere. So don't get intimidated by how smart you think people are. In fact, people who are mostly committed to being smart, that's all they are. They have to have answers for everything. The adventurers in life are the entrepreneurs. There's no sure deal, but guess what? You got a heck of a lot of evidence that this thing works. The only question left for you is, do you want it to work for you or not? What you need to recognize is that you need to change so that this is a possibility for you. You are going to get the best training. You are going to get some wonderful people interested in you. And you want to know what? Go find it out there. Take a look at your life right now. Who's cheering for you? Who's telling you you can change your life? You can do something better than now. And I don't care how old you are. I've worked with men in their 70s, and at 85, they're telling me what they accomplished. I've worked with young people that have been broke, that write me letters. They're millionaires 10 years later. So it isn't about the condition you're in now. It's the direction you want to go in tonight, and you sustain the direction. When people refer to me as a motivational speaker, I say, that's not true at all. I'm a wake-up call. I don't want to motivate anybody. I want to educate you as to what the realities are of winning and losing. That's integrity. You don't need another place in life to reattach your emotional umbilical cord. You need to know it's you. And you need to know you have the power to change, but you need to know what's in the game. New habits, giving up old things, and deciding once and for all. You are focusing your energies, and then you're going to see it happen. Let me give you an illustration. This is the power of focus at the unconscious level. You've all had this experience. You had to get up disordinately early, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. You had to catch a plane, be somewhere. Remember that time? You set 3 alarm clocks, called your brother, your sister, your mother. You must have had fail-safe all around you, yes? Why was it that at 3:29, you popped up out of the bed before any of them had to call you? See, there's part of the insight into the magic. You programmed your unconscious mind with such a powerful, fierce, no guessing command, and it delivered. Now let me show you the limitations of your mind. There have been experiments done with fish in a fish tank. And what they did is they had the fish dropped on this end, a big, huge fish tank, and they fed, the food was all down on this end. Free. Free. No be, do, have, just let's have. So the fish went day after day when they got hungry down there eating all that free food. You know how fish are. And then the researchers one day put a glass plate at the end where they could see the food, but they couldn't get to it. So here were the fish. They go down, boom, bam. About 2 or 3 of them did that, and they went back and they had a fish conference. And they started talking about the impossibility of getting food. See, they don't have any other skills developed, so they keep banging their nose. They bang their nose, they bang their nose. Now guess what? This is the conditioning. They lift the glass, guess what the fish did? The food was readily available, but because they were conditioned to see the impossibility, they went as far as the glass and stopped and didn't eat. And that's what you and I do. You see, the reason you don't set new visions for yourself, the reason you don't set new goals, is because the goals you're going to set now are based upon the experience of the goals that you've set in the past and the effort that you generated to get there. That's your glass ceiling. Now here's the wonderful thing about success. You know all the hardships you go through to get there? I'll describe them for you in a minute so you're prepared, and remind some of you who've been in the business that it hasn't ended. You have to understand that you are going to hit obstacles. Here's some of the obstacles. You invite someone even to this conference, and you are excited. You really work to get somebody here with you. And that person probably didn't even come in for today. How do you feel? What's your natural emotional reaction to that? Down, isn't it? Okay, could you get upset? Could you get angry? Could it seem justified? Here, watch your tricks of your mind. It seems all legitimate that the consequence of this should make you angry, make you upset, and take your energy away. Someone who didn't want it, once again, steals your dream. Shame on you. Until you own it, you're never going to get it. And you don't own it when you get it, you own it when you start it. And it's just a question of time, of checking your thinking, getting the right mind alignment, and this is coming your way. Now, are you going to invite people to meetings? They're going to say, yes, I'll be there. You'll be outside the meeting, all dressed up, waiting for them to come in, all excited about the person at 5 o'clock who said they're going to be there for the meeting at 7, and they don't show. Does it take you out of the game? Probably up until now, it would have. You know what you're going to say? This don't work. Amazing. Here's another one. People come to me, oh, George, I can't do this, I can't do that. How many people did you talk to this week? How many DVDs did you put out with Donald Trump on them to give people a chance to see it without you blabbing at them? How many did you buy? Yet you think you're in business and you want to succeed? You're not doing what successful people do. Here we are. Here's a person with 2 catcher's mitts on. Gimme, gimme, gimme before I do anything. You see the correction that's needed there? Don't sponsor people like that. They're only going to contaminate the business. If they can't see the value, this company does everything for us. Takes care of our customers, sends out the billing, does everything, puts out the great training videos, sets up the conferences, and you and I, as independent business people, our biggest job is not unloading a truckload of bricks. That's work. Imagine being excited going to that job. It's not unloading a platform of shingles and carrying them up to the 4th floor to be roofed. That's work. You can't get excited about that. But listen to this. Your job and my job is a pad with some applications, a pen in my hand, and a mouth that can talk, and an enthusiasm for offering something that can change people's lives. You know why you don't do it? You're terrified. You're terrified. Remember the enemies? The words, opinions, and eyes of others on you. Give it up. They don't care that much. Trust me. They don't talk about you 24/7. Trust me. They got their own problems. But if you believe you've got something good, who wouldn't you talk to? Who wouldn't you talk to? I think we got some reps that practice talking to light posts just to get better at it. So if you get the right attitude and you do the doing, you're going to start becoming better at what you're doing. Does that make sense? And then as you do that, you're going to begin having the things of your dreams. There's a word called commitment. Okay, commitment is doing the thing you said you would do long after the moment you said it in has left you. Now here's commitment for most people. Boy, when I'm pumped up, when I'm fired up, get out of my way. Boy, I'm a winner. I always watch out for those people. That's an emotion that is fleeting. The only thing that will override it is a passionate desire for a result. That will keep you persisting. You see, if you combine commitment and persistent with faith and belief, you have got the formula. Because commitment will keep you going into persistence. The only thing that will keep your persistence going is the faith in the outcome. Are you following this? So don't tell me you're any one of those 3 without being all 3. You see in the connections? Because persistence will take you through the dry seasons of labor. It'll take a person of average ability and make them into a superstar. It's the mother and father of good luck. It's the best cosmetic and the cheapest cosmetic in the world. A person who's persisting has an inner belief in where they're going. And you know them when you meet them. They're up to something. And you feel it when you're with them. They're after something. They're pursuing something. They don't look around in a foggy world with the lines on their face of depression, doubt, confusion. Where's the magic going to come from next? You're sitting on it. A little lesson in biology, if I might. You have to make a decision in life. We all do in some way or another. And the decision is, which came first, spirit or matter? Oh, these are more laws. Thought you might want to be interested. Which came first? Was the universe material first, or was it thought or energy first? Which one? There's a clue. So what's the greatest creative force in the universe? We call it God. We can call it whatever we want to. That's your choice. Okay? But once we identify what we call that divine power, we recognized that everything that followed, however it unfolded, came from source. Let's call it source. Now, source, difficult concept, because who starts source? So then we get into the domain of a third-dimensional mind trying to understand fourth and fifth-dimensional realities. So the only thing you can come to is what I see gives more evidence to whether or not I understand the actual process here. But I'm pretty sure that if something else started source, it would have been more powerful than source, and we chase our tail till we came to one thing, and that is pure source. Whoa, wait a minute. Now, who am I? There can be nothing in the universe that is not in some way connected to source. Now, I'm a human being. I need to decide, who am I? Am I a physical body, or am I a spirit being at the core of my essence, running around in a physical body for a linear period of time called life? What if that's the conclusion I come to, and I hold it in that possibility? Then where is eternity? Since you can't break that continuum, you're just going to change clothes. If you believe in eternity, I got news for you. You're in it now. And whatever's after this is just more of it, maybe in a different form. Wow. Isn't that something? Well, then, what does that mean as you look at your gift of life? Well, let me tell you what you did to get here. Two people got together, as far as I know, and they made whoopee. And in that process, there were millions of little pollywogs running around. And they were potentially you, potentially me. There were millions of them going in the unbelievable uphill battle, knocking each other off, bing, bing, bing. Only one was going to survive out of the millions, and it was you. I got a question for you. Since we know that is the process, why did you want to be here so much and do so little with the possibility? You see, life is a gift. Life is to be lived. You're not here to live in the penalty box. You're here to grow and prosper and be loving and kind and build community and build relationships. That's where happiness is. And the lack of that understanding is the miseries we have. Now, what did nature teach you right out of the gate? First, they gave you a little bit of an easy time. You were floating around in mom, remember? Boy, this is cool. I got all this fluid around me. I can't even get bumped and bruised, okay? Every once in a while I say, Mom, stop eating the cabbage. I'm getting a lot of gas. That goes on for a certain period of time. All of a sudden, one day, you're ready. You're ready to make your presence known. You flipped upside down and you look and you go, oh, no way. There's no possibility. And Mother Nature says, you want to bet? Watch us. Now, Mom, man, I want to tell you something. We don't have a chance of remotely understanding the process from there out. You and I have pain. What a joke. Now, I believe the reason why mothers can love so deeply their children is because in that experience of pain was created the vase for the largeness of their love. So again, I see the universe, the plus, the minus, the yin, the yang, the positive, the negative. But then you finally arrive. You finally arrive. You know what happened? You didn't like the journey. They were squeezing you. You go. And then you finally arrive in the world, and only a mother at that moment could say, isn't he or she beautiful? You know what the fathers do that go in there? They go like this, they look again, they run to the nurse. Is that a kid? You sure it's mine? Because we're the ugliest looking things you've ever seen from a male eye. What's that stuff? Oh, good, let me out of here. What does a mother say? My sweet, darling baby. So here we are. We even chose. We can hold it this way. Why did I choose to be here since I could never possibly be disconnected to source? It's impossible. There's no separation. There's just isness. We're all in the game. Nothing can exist without it since it's the creative force of the universe. So boy, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to respect the miracle. I'm going to really respect it. I'm going to love life from this day forward. I want you when you leave here, I want you to dance like no one can see you. And I want you to sing like no one can hear you. And I want you to love like you've never been hurt. God bless you.